Hi everyone and welcome to Studio de Sol. My name is Lina and today's video is another episode about polymer clay. Today I want to show you how you can reuse polymer clay scraps or leftover pieces, so let's get started. If you want to support me and my channel, don't forget to hit the red button, like this video, leave a comment down below, and let's keep going. I'm usually saving all of the leftover clays and keeping just in a container. It doesn't go bad, so you can keep this for 2-3 years and nothing's gonna happen to the clay. But sometimes when you really need to fill up shapes, you can use a leftover clay instead of using some new clay. I personally trying to reuse the scraps right away. For example, if I did any patterns and then I have leftover pieces, I'm just mixing the clay and cutting out the shapes. It's gonna be with a little bit of different pattern, but still you have the same color scheme, color palette, and in that way you don't do a lot of waste. In this video today, I want to show you 3 ways how you can reuse the polymer clay scraps. And what I'm doing first is kind of sorting them out, creating different piles of the same color palette. And when I sorted all of the pieces, I'm taking the relevant colors. And for the first little section, I'm going to be using darker blues, green, and white colors. And the first way of reusing the polymer clay scraps is gonna be kaleidoscope technique. For that, I'm taking my pieces. As you can see, I already had like 3 piles of pre-mixed clay, and I'm dividing this into the 5 pieces and a little bit warming up the clay, not too much so the colors won't mix, but you kind of like pushing it and making the clay warm. When I form my pieces in kind of a sausage shape, I'm combining them together and I'm applying the colors the way it's gonna contrast with each other. For example, with the darker shade, I'm attaching the lighter shade so it won't mix into the one piece. Now when I attached all of my 5 pieces, I'm just going over with the rolling pin to make it a little bit flatter, and then I'm running it through pasta machine on the 8th or 7th level of thickness. And here is my sheet. As you can see, it's not equal, but it's okay. I'm gonna fix it later. And what I'm doing now, and I start slicing that sheet into the equal pieces, equal stripe size pieces. And after that, I'm attaching them all on top of each other. And when I attach all of my pieces together, I start shrinking the whole piece and shaping it into the triangle. And when my triangle canes are ready, I am slicing them into equal parts. I end up having 7 equal pieces, and after that I'm attaching them all together and again start shrinking it by pushing it from the center to the sides. And here's how the pattern of the cane looks like. As an example, I just decided to do a few buttons out of that cane. So for that, I'm slicing the piece out of the cane, then flatten it a little bit, and using the cutters, I'm cutting like the axis on the sides to make it even circle shape. And after that, I'm just adding a few holes in the middle, and it's all ready. Here are how my buttons looking like, and now I'm just baking them. For the second way of using polymer clay scraps, I decided to use kind of a twisting technique. So what I'm doing, I'm taking again all of the pieces in this kind of same color palette. I'm slicing them a little bit and then mixing those slice pieces together and pushing them, all of them together, and rolling it a little bit. Then I am slicing this in 4 pieces. I'm attaching the back sides to each other, and now I'm rolling it again. The clay here is supposed to be soft for the better results, so it won't break but will like stretch and create a nice pattern. When I roll my pieces, I start twisting them. It's gonna create little lines on a surface, and then I'm slicing my thread shaped pieces in half and attaching them all together and kind of saving the pattern. All of the stripes are going in one direction, and after that I flatten it with the rolling pin. I don't usually run the pieces with the pattern through pasta machine just to avoid the damage of the pattern. And here's the ready sheet of the clay, and now just using the cutters and cutting out the shapes. And here are my final shapes, and now I'm just baking them. And the third way of reusing polymer clay, it's gonna be more for a plain colors. For example, if you were mixing colors and you were not happy with the results, this is what you can do with that leftover clay. So first, like usual, I'm warming up the clay. Then I'm running it through a pasta machine. I decided to add some texture, and for that I'm using the silicone sheet, and I'm applying the texture on top and rolling a little bit with the rolling pin. And here I decided to experiment a little bit, and I'm applying 3 different powders. And here I'm applying a little bit of the metal powder. Then I also have some powder for the nails and the regular eyeshadows. I didn't like the effect after the eyeshadows and the nail powder, so I decided to cover the piece with the metallic powder. And when the piece is evenly covered and you kind of like stamp the powder into the clay, you can start cutting out the shapes. Then again, you can run the piece through the pasta machine, mix a little bit, flatten, and apply the second layer of the metal powder and cut out more shapes. And after that, I'm setting my pieces to bake. Don't forget to check out the baking instructions on the packages of your clay. And when my pieces are ready, I'm as usual just sanding them and adding some findings. For my metal powder pieces, I decided to apply the epoxy resin on top and cure this for additional 24 hours. And here are my final results. Let me know if you like these techniques, how you can reuse your polymer clay scraps, if it was helpful. Share with me in the comments below if this tutorial was helpful. Also, don't forget to hit the red button to subscribe to my channel, like this video, and we see each other in the next one.